Right guys, welcome back to UK Highland Photography. I'm Strober and today we're going to talk about the three-step process it takes to make websites. Now in the previous video we talked about some pre-notes, what you need to take into consideration before you go ahead and make your website or before you go ahead and contact a web designer to make your website for you. That video concentrated on stuff such as what is your email address going to be, bearing in mind spam. We talked about spam. The moment you publish onto the internet, you're going to be spammed. So you need a business email. Other topics we discussed about was about you, what is so special about you and your business and stuff like that. But in this video we're going to be talking about the actual main three-step process it takes to making a website. So let's begin. Now at number one is the DOM name. Okay, now what is a DOM name? A DOM name is basically the name of your website. For example, again, I own www.hatestv.com, I own www.smartcameraphone.com. So that is your DOM name. Now, registering a DOM name is very simple. You can use websites such as 123Rage, GoDaddy, Lycos, or any technology company that allows you to register DOM names. It's very easy to register a DOM name. However, choosing a DOM name is actually very hard indeed. And why is it very hard? Well, it's because the internet has been about now for so many years that all the popular terms are taken. For example, if you wanted a photographer's website and you wanted it to be www.photographer.com, well guess what? That DOM name is gone. It's already been registered. Somebody else owns it. So if you wanted the word photography in your DOM name, it's going to be very, very hard to get that without it sounding quite silly. You know, it's very hard to choose a DOM name because most of them are taken. Okay. So that's the first step. If you contact a web designer, remember he's going to want to know what your DOM name is. Or he might give you a list of DOM names to, check from. But the problem with going with a web designer with regards to DOM names is if he or she registers it under their name, that means legally speaking, they own your DOM name. So if you wanted to switch to a different provider, then you might be, out of pocket because you no longer own that DOM name because it was registered under the web designer's, you know what I'm saying. Right, let's move on to the next bit. So the next bit is choosing a hosting package. Now, how does hosting work with regards to websites? It's a bit like hosting is a bit like the rental market, the housing market. Okay, hosting is a bit like the housing market. So basically you can live in shared accommodation, and that's the same with hosting, which means that you share your website with other people on the same server. So if you lived in a rented house, in a shared house, then you would have a bedroom and other people would have bedrooms, but you all share the kitchen and you all share the bathroom, etc. Well, that's the same with servers. Servers can be shared amongst different website owners to host their stuff. So that's one of the things. Shared hosting is actually the cheapest of them all. After shared hosting, then you've got like virtual private servers, which is a bit again like the housing market. It's where you're no longer sharing, the same bathroom, but instead you've got your own apartment within that building. So that's virtual private, servers. And then after that you've got dedicated servers. Now dedicated servers and virtual private servers are very expensive. So the chances are you or the web designer is going to go with shared hosting. But there's one thing with shared hosting what you need to know, and that is if you use up too much resources, or if your website uses up too much resources on the shared hosting platform, on the shared hosting server, then you could be banned from that service. For example, let's say that you and I lived in the same house. We shared the bathroom, we shared the kitchen. Now let's say that every morning I go up to go to work and I wanted to get to a shower, but I couldn't have a shower because your friends are in the shower and your friends should not be in the property because they don't pay any rent. You see what I mean? So if I turned around and I said to the agent, I said to the landlord, look, he or she has got people staying in this property, they shouldn't be in there, and you know, they're using all the hot water in the morning, so I've got no hot water. Basically, you're going to get kicked out of the department, okay? So that's the same with servers. If your website uses up too many resources, you could get kicked off that if you're on shared hosting. Now, another thing you've got to take into consideration with shared hosting and your website is that if you want to migrate over to another hosting platform, then that may be quite tricky if you go down the route of a web designer, because again, a web designer may not want to move that particular website to another server for some unknown reason, so that could be a bit of a grey area. So yeah, good luck with your hosting, but now you know that hosting is the second main ingredient of making up a website. So what is the third ingredient of making up a website? Well, it is the template. So what do we mean by template? Well, the template is how your content is displayed on your website. What do we mean about content? We mean videos, we mean text, we mean audio. All these files, the icons, the menus, everything like that, it needs to be displayed on people's computer screens, people's mobile phones, people's tablets. All this data needs to be displayed on that website in a certain way, and that is where your template comes into effect. Choosing a template. Let me give you an example here. Now you could choose a cheap template, and that template may look great on a Microsoft desktop PC, but it may not look so great on an iPad or a Macintosh or a Google Android phone, because all the screen sizes are different. So therefore it's worth paying for a responsive template. A responsive template is basically a template that has had all the coding done to make that template responsive to all different platforms, such as iPhones, Google phones, iPads, tablets, Google tablets, desktop PCs, Apple Macs, etc, etc. So the third main ingredient of a website is a template. So that's three things, guys, that you need to look into now if you're serious about making a website. The first one is choosing your DOM name and where to register the DOM name. Do you do it yourself or contact a web designer? 2, research your hosting companies. Do you go for a shared server, or do you want privacy and go for a virtual private server? Or, you know, are you rich and you want to buy your own server, dedicated server? So, and finally, the third thing is the template. The template is how your website is going to look. You know, a premium template. Have you ever seen a free website compared to a professional website? That's because of the templates, the way the content is displayed. If a free website was coded the same way as a premium template was, then the free website would also look like that. But again, that's all down to coding and stuff like that. So right, guys, now you understand the 3 main ingredients to making a website. 1, DOM name, 2, hosting, and 3, the template. Right, guys, catch you all in the next video.